Hello and welcome to the Prime Reckoning. I'm Julie and this is a channel for women over 50. Well, a little follow-up from last week, y'all. The blue wraps are still on. I fixed the one on my pinky finger and I did a little bit of research. I had bought a new top coat at CVS because I had some extra bucks things to spend there. And it was the top coat that I used that just melted the wraps underneath. They're kind of bubbly and funky. I reached out to some other women and they're like, nah, that top coat really messed up my wraps. So did a little research. Lily and Fox actually recommends some top coats, base coats as well, which I don't typically use, but I ordered one that they recommend. So the next set of wraps, I will try that on. But these are still going, and I love the blue color. I wanted something bold, and this is definitely it. So another thing about Lily and Fox, if you do have a problem with one of their wraps, you can email the company, and they will refund your purchase and make it right. So still stand by that. Sorry, there's a cat fight going on. The boys are playing. Young boys, they like to kick each other in the head. So today I wanted to talk about things that women over 50 are too old to tolerate. Definitely things that I'm too old to tolerate. So we'll go through some of these. The first one is people pleasing. Wasting emotional energy on maintaining popularity or caring about the opinions of those who don't reciprocate. Y'all, lately, I don't give a shit what anybody thinks about me anymore. Except y'all. I care about y'all. But everybody else, it's like I'm not going to waste my time trying to please you. You either like me the way I am or you don't. That's just the way it is. The next thing is condescending behavior. Zero tolerance for being talked down to by anybody, especially employers. Y'all know I left my job because I had some issues there. Partners, strangers. Just I don't put up with any crap out of anybody anymore. Another thing I'm too old to put up with, physical discomfort. So uncomfortable shoes, tight heels, tight clothing, bras that are uncomfortable. You know, I did a recommendation on a Shapermint bra. No reason for anybody to have an underwire anymore. These bras are supportive without the underwire. So I don't deal with any physical discomfort anymore. And I still have calluses on my feet from wearing cheap shoes when I was a kid and a teenager. They just really, really messed my feet up. I haven't bought cheap shoes in a long time, and I don't buy cheap shoes anymore, period. Another thing I'm too old for is toxic or one-way relationships. So, y'all know I'm divorced. I don't want to deal with that anymore. I'm just not interested in a man that's going to treat me like garbage. And frankly, in my life, they almost all have. So, not dealing with that anymore. Not interested. Another thing I'm too old for is sleep disturbances. So, y'all, I have to get 9 to 10 hours of sleep a night or I am just absolutely a bear. Now, I've always had problems falling asleep. Even as a kid, I would lay in my bed for 3-4 hours before I could fall asleep. And the same is true now if I don't have, my sleeping pills and things. So I don't put up with that anymore, and I'm too old to lie awake for 2 or 3 hours. When I lay down, I've got to be able to get that sleep. So I take my sleeping pills, do what I need to do to get enough sleep. Now, once I'm out, boy, I can sleep for 12 hours. Once I'm out, that's it. But getting out is sometimes a little bit frustrating, but again, pharmaceuticals, and I've always had to take them. So for me, it's just not a big deal. And they don't bother me the next day. I know some people, if they take sleeping pills, are really, really groggy the next day. But fortunately, I haven't had that problem. I did have one medication I was taking that made me really tired, and the doctor said, let's find something else that works. It says there's always options. There's lots of options. So, another thing I'm too old for is unsolicited advice. I don't want to hear any advice from anybody that I haven't asked about. Kind of comes back to condescending behavior and people pleasing. Just not interested in that anymore. Another thing I am too old for is going places that don't have a parking lot. Y'all, I live in a big city, and most places have a parking lot, but occasionally you go somewhere and you've got to find some kind of parking on the street, and then you have to walk. I'm not interested in doing that, especially if it's at night. I've got to walk alone, so if I'm meeting friends, and I am out and about, I like to, ask somebody if they can walk with me, or if they're parked closer, if I can get a ride to my car. So I'm not walking around places that don't have a parking lot. I did go to the Ren Fair some months ago, and I was parked way, way out. And it's not that I felt unsafe walking through the parking lot, because they did have a lot of lighting and they did have a lot of people out there, but I was concerned that I was going to get all the way out there and not be able to find my car, because these Ren Fair parking areas are huge, y'all. So I had a friend, they were parked in a handicap space, and I asked them if they would take me out to my car, which they did. But then after that, I saw that they also had the organizers of the fair had a golf cart, and they were taking people around. So that's kind of nice too. Another thing I am way too old for is sitting on the floor. I used to do a lot of things on the floor. I used to wrap gifts on the floor. I used to just long time ago, I used to sit on the floor and play cards. Of course, now you don't have to do that. You can play cards on your computer, but I used to sit on the floor for a lot of stuff. And man, getting older and getting fatter, especially the getting fatter part, it's so hard to get up. I've even stopped. I was at my max weight, fattest I've ever been, a couple of months ago. And even getting in and out of the bathtub was hard. I prefer to take a bath over a shower. Although often in the summer, I prefer a shower because I want to get the water cooler in the summer. But in the winter, I definitely prefer baths. And when I was at my fattest, I was having a lot of trouble getting in and out of that bathtub. The only thing that saved me was, being able to put my hands on the side of the tub and kind of push myself up out of there. Now that I think I've lost about 15 pounds so far. And I'm on a new eating plan. And so hopefully we'll lose some more, but it is getting a lot easier to move around. I've noticed since I've lost those 15 pounds. It's amazing. Another thing that I am way too old for is camping. Talk about being on the floor, sleeping on the floor, sleeping on a rock. I'm just way too old for that shit. When I was in my 20s, I used to go backpacking, which is not only camping, but you got to carry all your shit on your back, which, it weighs a lot. And the weight isn't actually on your back. It kind of transfers to your hips. But that was a lot. And, you can kind of do camping and glamping out of your vehicle and have, big air mattresses and things like that. But when you're backpacking, you just have a really thin little air mattress, and I can't sleep with an extra pillow. You know, y'all, I had to have a pillow between my knees. I actually sleep with 3 pillows. I've got one under my head, and I've got 2 that I kind of hold on to, and then the cats pile on top of those. But I'm just too old to sleep on the floor. I'm too old to sleep in a cot. We were talking about going camping with some friends, and I said, well, I'll camp in my car and throw an air mattress in there, which we didn't end up going, but that's my plan for any camping in the future. And then camping in the summer, y'all, it is too damn hot to go just sweat for a whole weekend. I don't want to do it. That's not a vacation for me. A vacation is an air-conditioned room with a bed and with a restaurant available, or even better, room service available. So camping, not really my idea of a good time. Not doing it anymore. My camping days are over. Another thing I am too old for is drama. Y'all, drama, dealing with people, and often it's family drama you have to deal with. I'm just not interested in doing it anymore. When I'm out and about, I don't like to talk about things that are going to stir up drama. I don't like to talk about politics. I don't like to talk about other people. I don't want to deal with the drama and headbutting and all that mess. I just don't want to deal with it. There's no reason to. Another thing I'm too old to tolerate, we talked a little bit about it under the camping thing, is the heat. Again, I live in the South. It is very, very hot here. A lot of people say, oh, I live in the South. Well, I live in the South because I don't do heavy winters. I don't do heavy snow. I don't do extreme cold, but I don't do extreme heat either. And when the summer's here, my blinds are closed for the entire summer, and I'm basically hiding out in my house like a hermit because I don't want to deal with the heat. I don't want to walk. I live on a hill, and my mailbox is all the way down this big hill, and it's at the bottom, and I don't want to walk to my mailbox until the sun is like going down. It's gone below the horizon, and then I'm like, okay, I can make it to the mailbox now. And y'all, I have been known, although not to avoid the heat, but I have been known to drive my car down to the mailbox. I'll back out of my driveway. This is mostly if I have to go to my mailbox in the middle of the night. And not that I think my neighborhood is unsafe, but, if it's 2 a.m., you're like, oh, I forgot to get the mail. I'm just going to hop in my car and roll down the end of the driveway and pick up my mail. Or if I'm out and about doing things during the day, I stop my car at the mailbox, pick up the mail, and then drive into the garage with my air conditioner on in the car. So I don't do it. Another thing that I am too old to tolerate now is bullshit excuses. Y'all, we're grown-ass adults. Tell me the truth. I don't want to hear a bunch of crap. A couple of years ago, I yelled at my brother for this because he was lying to me, and I'm like, I know you're lying. Don't lie. Just tell me the truth. We're not in high school anymore. Just tell me the truth. And, had friends ghost me for no reason. It's like, just talk to me. Just tell me the truth. Say, hey, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. Nice knowing you, but don't lie to me. That's a bunch of crap, and I'm not going to put up with it. The last thing that I am too old to deal with is nuisance noise, kind of noise in general. I had a neighbor one year. Sorry, y'all, the cats are going crazy. I had a neighbor one year was out with a leaf blower on Christmas Day, y'all. I was ready to walk out there and just put an end to all that. Of course I didn't, but how annoying. Unnecessary noise. Little kids screaming anywhere. Little kids screaming in the restaurant, in the bars. People are bringing their little kids to bars, y'all. What is that about? And if I'm going to tell you right now, if you bring your child to a bar that I'm in, your child is going to learn some new words that night, because children don't belong in bars. Sorry, but they don't know. Not sorry. They don't belong in bars. That's just insane. Fireworks. I hate fireworks. The cats hate the fireworks. So I just don't want to deal with it. Also, really loud noises kind of in general will give me a migraine. So anywhere with live music is a no for me. Going out anywhere and just TVs blaring in the back, everywhere. That's another thing, y'all. And you may disagree with me on this, but this is my thing. Everywhere has TVs now. They're everywhere. Every waiting room you go into has a damn TV going. And I'm old school. I like to go and bring my book and sit and read. But I can't read when there's TV noise blaring in the background. It breaks my concentration and I can't do it. So all that mess, all that news, and I'm not a person either that's, I need to turn on the TV so it has some background noise. No, my house is actually very quiet most of the time. I don't have noise going on, just have noise in the background. If I do want something in the background, I'll put on some music and I'll be singing and dancing around my house, but just nuisance noise, that is just really annoying for me. So those are my top ones, and I would love to hear what things that you are too old for. So comment down below and we can have a conversation about it. So let's move on to the Badass Woman of the Week. And this week's Badass Woman is Josephine Cochrane. Hopefully I'm saying that right. So Josephine Cochrane lived from 1839 to 1913. She came up with the idea of a mechanical dishwasher, one that would hold dishes securely in a rack while the pressure of a water sprayer cleaned them after servants chipped her heirloom dishes. But when her husband died in 1883, leaving her with substantial debt, making the dishwasher work and become profitable became a necessity. She received her patent in 1886 and began marketing her dishwasher to hotels. You cannot imagine what it was like in those days for a woman to cross a hotel lobby alone, she told one reporter. I had never been anywhere without my husband or father. The lobby seemed a mile wide. I thought I should faint at every step, but I didn't, and I got an $800 order as my reward. In 1893, her dishwasher was exhibited at the World's Columbian Exposition in Chicago, making it into a household word. Cochrane continued selling her dishwasher until shortly before her death, and her legacy lives on. Her company was bought by KitchenAid in 1916, and Cochrane is still listed as one of its founders. So, another amazing woman making sure that we don't have to do our own dishes. We just stick them in the dishwasher and it's all good. So, please take a moment and like and subscribe. It really helps out my growing channel. If you subscribe, you won't miss any uploads, and I usually upload something every week. So, thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.